All right, parents, this is going to be the longest video I probably do, but it is going to explain the bulk of information that you need to know in order to understand all of the madness that happens in the Success 101 class. To begin, we're going to talk about first, what is standards-based grading? Second, we're going to talk about what are the standards that we've selected. Third, we will discuss how those standards are going to be evaluated. And lastly, we will talk about how those standards are going to result to a letter grade every 6 weeks for you to understand. Okay? So let's jump in. What is standards-based grading? If you haven't researched or heard of it, that's fine. I'm going to explain it here. It is a way to get away from the point system. The point system that punishes your kids for trying a new concept and struggling at it. If they don't do great at their homework, then there's no way to gain those points back. And we just didn't think that was very fair. So the standards-based grading way is that they can be a late bloomer. They can fail 3, 4, 7, 15, 400 times, but as long as they reach it at the end of the semester and show that they can continuously do that and that it's a habit, then they've mastered it. So that's what standards-based grading is. It's more of a forgiveness factor. It means you learn at your own progression, and it focuses on just the bare elements that they need to know, not the millions of other components and assignments that we give them. So with that, what are we even grading them on? What are these 10 standards that we've selected, and why did we choose them? To begin, we have social emotional standards, and we have workplace readiness standards. The social emotional standards are self-awareness, social awareness, positive decision making, and self-management. These components talk about how they are true to themselves, they're owning up to their actions, they're connecting with other students positively, they're reflecting on their choices that they're making, and they have those systems in place to help them be successful and organized. That is what we believe is going to help them be a better them. Second, we have the workplace readiness standards. And these standards is what we believe they need to have in order to be successful in school and in the workplace. And these standards include work ethic. So are they able to just try? Are they full of integrity? So are they trying to follow the rules? Are they putting their best foot forward? Are they being honest? Third, we have reading and writing skills and speaking and listening skills. We then have positive self-representation. So are they aware of the attitude and the words that they use and the clothing they wear and how it affects how others see them? And then lastly, we have internet or technology use. So your kids probably come home, they sit on the couch, and they're on their phones the rest of the night. And you're like, ah! Right? Well, it's my fault because I deprived them all day from it, right? No, I allow them to use their phones in the classroom because they need to learn that management skill. They need to realize that if someone's talking to me right here, I need to put this away. And so instead of just taking it away from them and not having them learn that skill, we believe in the workplace you're going to need that. And so I'm going to allow them to have that management to learn that. So those are our workplace readiness standards. And that is what they're getting graded on. The second big question is, this doesn't make sense. How are you going to grade their work ethic? You don't know how hard they tried. This all seems so very subjective. And it kind of does. I'll be honest, it does. However, let me explain the process in which we're going to be grading. All of the assignments that they do in class, we will have probably 10 to 15 assignments per unit. And all of those assignments are expected to be done. The students know that they are not getting points for those assignments. They know that they are getting checked, their work is being checked for understanding, and they need to produce quality work, but they realize they're not getting points based on that. And they're expected to have that positive work ethic and try. Now, if they don't turn anything in, it's pretty evident that they're failing in that work ethic standard. If they're lying about turning in homework or reading or copying off other people's work, it's pretty evident that they're failing in that integrity element. So they're expected to do their job, just like you are in your job. You're expected to go to work and do your job. Are you getting paid per task that you do? No. You get one payment, not per job. And so they're doing their job, and they're going to try their best at every assignment and turn those in. Those assignments are tools to help them understand and learn how to master the standards. So how are the standards being graded? Every 6 weeks, your child will be evaluated on all 10 standards. In each of those standards, there are 4 categories for them to land in. The first one is going to be that mastery level. That means they not only understand it, but they model it and they show and help others. That's mastery. You are exceeding my expectations. Then we have S for sufficient. They are meeting my expectations. They're doing what they need to do, but they're not going above and beyond. And then we have not yet competent. You're not quite there. You know what you're supposed to do. You do it fairly consistently, but it's kind of hit or miss on some days. That is the not yet competent. And then lastly, we have insufficient work submitted. This is, instead of following directions, you're purposely disrupting the class. Instead of turning anything in, you're choosing not to do anything at all. This is the, I know what the standard is, but I'm going in the complete opposite direction. And usually that's a conversation that needs to happen between myself and that student and say, hey, why do you not think this is valuable? Why aren't you doing this? So we rarely have this insufficient work submitted. So where does your kid fall in these boxes? Well, for those kids who have consistently gotten A's and their glowing report card, they love this because gives them the ability to exceed. This doesn't put a cap on their learning. This means that, hey, you're a natural leader and I'm gonna help you become an even better one. You get to exceed my expectations. Those kids that are not quite there and they feel like they're getting bogged down with all these assignments and they're struggling a little bit, this doesn't punish them. It just shows that they're not quite there yet. They're not quite competent, but they're learning, they're growing. So any range of students, whether your student is an overachiever or a late bloomer, your child will be successful in this environment. Now, the question of subjectivity. How am I going to judge your child based on their work ethic? They might have thought they had great work ethic, and I might think, no, honey, that wasn't that great. So how are we gonna have that conversation? Well, I realize I'm not gonna see everything in the classroom, and that's gonna happen. However, I will have a conversation with your child every evaluation, and they will self-evaluate themselves, and then I will evaluate themselves. And I'll say, I think you put yourself at a 3 here, but judging on the amount of assignments you've turned in, I think you're not quite competent because you're not quite there yet. You're turning in about 75% of your work. And we can have that conversation and we can talk about it. And maybe something's happening at home that I don't know about. And he can say, hey, I don't know if you know this, but blank's going on. And that's kind of why I'm missing these assignments. And I can say, thank you for letting me know. I'm going to go ahead and put you at that 3, but we do need to turn these assignments in. So we can have that open dialogue, and your child can justify what they think, and I can justify what I think, and come up with a consensus of what that grade is. So they're taking ownership of their classroom environment and their learning. Because the bottom line is we want to see growth. Whether I saw them work hard or not, if they're working hard, that's a win. So every 6 weeks, your child will have a performance evaluation. Now, how does that translate to an A, a B, a C, a D? Because, well, college transcripts matter now. We get it. You guys are freshmen. So we realize that in the first 6 weeks, they are not going to master all 10 of our standards. We understand that. So for the first 6 weeks, to get an A, you only need to master 2 of the 10 standards. And then you need to be satisfactory in the rest. And then there is an outline for the 6 weeks what a B looks like. And maybe that is you only need to be satisfactory in 3 and you're not quite competent in 7. We have a chart, and I will send this out to you guys, and it'll explain what it's like to have at the first 6 weeks to have an A, a B, a C, a D. And then at the second 6 weeks, what do you need to have an A, a B, a C, a D? So for those high achieving students that really need to get that A, they know what their goal is. They know they need to master 2. And for my high achievers, they're gonna look at that last 6 weeks and they're gonna realize, hey, I need to master 9 of these standards. Let's get on it. And they're gonna just blow through all the standards as fast as they can. And that's okay. The late bloomers, sometimes you might end the first 6 weeks with a whole lot of not quite there yet, and that's okay, and that might translate to a D, but guess what? You still have the same chance to master all 10 standards as a kid who has 9 of them mastered. It doesn't matter where you're at, it matters where you end. So their final grade for the semester is based on that last evaluation. It's based on where they're at the end. It doesn't matter if they've had A's all year and the last 6 weeks they really showed that they don't care anymore and they're done and they're checked out. That last evaluation is what matters. So if they master and they continue to master, they can hold that A all semester long. If they drop off and they say, it doesn't matter anymore, that's going to hurt them. And so they just need to be the best of them and try their best every day in class. And I promise you it'll pay off. If you have further questions about this system, please let me know. I will be sending out more information about what it's like to get an A, a B, a C, a D at the 6 weeks, 18 weeks, and so forth. So I'll get that sent out to you. There's other videos about how you can track their assignment turned in, and as well as what standards they are mastering and how to contact me later. So stay tuned for future videos.